So.
Do you wanna go get it? No, I don't have one.
Morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Well, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Pretty good for Monday.
For Monday?
Yeah.
Well,
Better than average.
Mondays are good.
so,
Any day I get up and look at the grass from the green side is
But,
good.
Mike wanted here, if not, I can go make a coffee.
Oh,
Do you want mine to make it with? No, I'll grab it off the board.
well, I'm gonna have to leave here shortly here.
Okay, well, I'll
As soon
let
as,
you
as
out.
soon as my phone rings, so.
I'll let you out. I might have to go back up to the office here after work. So, just make sure the camera's running.
did you say you're a law student?
Yes.
What year?
I'm in my third year.
Oh, yeah.
Or we'll be starting my third year.
Oh, starting your third year.
And I'm assuming that would be in Washington or Oregon or someplace where they teach law.
No, they teach it here. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. It costs a fortune to go out there.
I've got some relatives that went to Missoula for pharmacy.
Yeah, that would be pharmacy school.
And somebody was telling me the other day that there's somebody they're gonna go to Missoula for something. They're gonna have to get the degree out of Missoula. But they're taking every class they possibly can out of Bozeman before they go over there, because they really didn't want to go to Missoula.
It's an acquired taste. Living there for 7 years, I can say I've acquired it, but
Are you from Missoula?
not originally. I grew up in Billings, but I went to college there and just went right into law school. So right after college, so been living there.
What's your bachelor's in?
I got 2 in history and communication studies. I knew I wanted to go into law school, and they just told you to do some liberal arts degrees. Any degree will do it. So I just picked a couple.
I've got a nephew that just, apparently they had some kind of a student orientation, or potential orientation or something this last weekend.
Right.
And I've got a nephew from Idaho that was going through that. He's looking at Missoula or Bozeman or someplace in Idaho, I think. He wants to be an FBI agent.
Oh, really?
And,
Yeah, that's. I think I looked at
I was
that.
telling Jared, man, that if you really want to do that, the thing to do probably would be, if I was gonna do that, I would go to Bozeman or one of these places that is world famous for all their
Good morning.
Am I going on?
their computer stuff.
Oh, yeah?
And become a computer expert, because then you can kind of sit back there, you wouldn't have to get shot at.
Yeah, they. I think that the way they have it set up, because I looked at doing it too.
You're fine.
They require 3 years of professional, sort of civilian work employment before they consider you for hire. There's a lot of,
That's your spot right there.
and, like, they want you to have a certain specialty. I do think computer tech
I'm
is
Joe
one of
Campbell.
law enforcement will do it too if you've been law enforcement for a few years.
Backed up.
If you've been a lawyer for a few years. And then I think the other one
Oh,
is,
Brad Campbell.
the other ones are like, if you have financial experience or experience with a foreign language, and then they have a list of languages that they want you. I think Spanish is one of them.
Logan and.
But
If you want to go to the Mexican border.
yeah, and that might very well be where they send you, or to the southwest.
I think I'd study Polish and stay the hell away from that border.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
so it's
I blocked the old Mark's place.
it's crazy. I looked at that too.
I thought I'd met you before.
I might still do it.
Well, I was
I'm
on
a
the
lawyer
lawyer
for
for
it.
a long time. So I'm never,
You know,
I lived down
Jump
on
out.
284 once.
well, it's okay.
you might, while you're
Good
here,
morning,
you
Mr.
might
Swift.
talk to David Kearns.
I've heard that name.
Bill is the banker, but David was down there in his folks' house.
Oh, is that right?
He was out there for a long time.
Oh, really?
And he's back in DC, he arranged for some big tours from him when I'd gone back.
Wow.
But then something probably happened, I don't know what, because he ended up in Butte.
Maybe that's where he wanted to end up. I can't imagine ever choosing that spot, but you never know.
So,
Brad, how are you?
Not in my case.
Oh, do you want to spot this hit?
Actually, just for a moment.
You probably do.
How are you doing today?
Good, how are you guys?
Good.
Got the whole day off.
No. Wish I did.
How you doing? Look like you've been out in the sun some too.
A little bit.
how long does it take to get through law school now?
3 years.
3 years?
Pretty short, 3 years. So,
You can
and then you take the bar and then hopefully find a job.
Has it always been the 3 years?
It has. It used to be up until the 70s that you didn't actually have to go to practice.
Yeah,
So it was sort of optional, but it's mandatory now.
yeah.
To do it.
Well, for a while, trying to get out of school, it took you 5 years to get a 4-year degree, and they finally got that straightened around again.
Yeah.
But, I didn't
Still
know if that
does.
is-
Still does for some people.
So,
yeah.
yeah. But some of them even tried to do
No, I
it,
had
it was
one.
taking
Oh,
them
yeah.
5 years. The way they had prerequisites and when they taught the
Yeah,
the
when
class
they
for the
taught-
prerequisite forced you into a
But I'm not
5-year
sure.
deal.
Yeah.
It was just horrendous.
Yeah, it's rough.
Particularly in education.
Anymore now, if you have to work, if you're working your way through school, you'll miss some of those. I know a lot of people that had to go an extra semester, an extra year, because they had to
I like
sacrifice
the
that
way
work.
Gilman does it.
Oh,
With their block scheduling,
Scheduling.
yeah, that's,
That seems to be
yeah,
real.
I don't know, you probably
Real
find
good
out.
for
Yeah,
people seem to like it.
it was really
Yeah.
up there. Yeah, that worked out great for her. You could go through, get through one course in, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Granted, that was all you did, but for that period of time, but it worked out pretty well.
I get one, but I've
See
never
it.
bothered to look and see who it's coming from. Maybe Tammy.
Tammy probably.
Yeah.
I'll start
I'm
that.
thinking Tammy.
And that's a digital.
Yeah, there's no tape or nothing there. Thought it was pretty cool. Showed up on my desk one morning, and I thought it was sort of like a bonus or something.
Good morning, I
Like a kid.
apologize for being late. If you would all please stand with the gavel. We'll call this meeting to order. You join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome, it's July 15th.
I just have a note here from Elaine. She said she's been playing phone tag and that you're supposed to. Thank you. Okay.
Your phone rang a couple of times.
Oh,
Right. Now she's busy. We have Elaine Gravely who's going to be joining us today via phone. So I will try her back in about 1 minute.
Last one of those I tried for a meeting. Couldn't make the guy from the airport. Waiting for the
Oh, shit. Probably not a good time.
I'll get the comfy chair.
Good morning, this is Laura. I'm good, how are you doing? So we played phone tag. Well, I'm gonna put you on speakerphone if that's okay. All right. Elaine, are you there?
I'm here.
Excellent, welcome. Welcome back, I should say.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Everyone hear Elaine okay?
Yes.
All right. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. It is July 15th, 2013. First item on the agenda is Greg and Heather Morsby. Heather, I see you in the back there. We do not have your quit claim deed. There's a couple of issues that have come up. One is there's a real estate issue that Carla needs to check into. Second issue is something from the resolution from 1981. And the third issue is because this started in 1955 and wasn't done correctly, there might be some kind of a legal requirement time-wise. So those are some of the issues that she needs to look into, and she hopes to have them next week for you. I found this out about 5 minutes ago, which is one of the reasons I was late coming in here, and otherwise I would have called you with the information. So I apologize, we do not have that yet for you.
Can you please put me on the agenda again for next week at 10 o'clock?
Absolutely, yes. All right.
Would you ask them to speak up so I can hear?
You bet, absolutely. Heather did leave and she asked to be on the agenda for next Monday at 10 o'clock again. We've been putting her on ahead of the commissioner community update to make sure that we get that taken care of as quickly as we can.
Okay, good.
All right, next we have the commissioner's community update. And I guess I should clarify with you, Elaine, I'm assuming, and I shouldn't assume, since you're on the phone, do you want me to continue to act as chair?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm fine either way. So for the commissioner's community update, Franklin, I'll let you go first, and then Elaine, if you want to give us any update on how you're doing, I think we'd all be happy to hear any progress you're making.
Thank you.
That was Conversation Board. I don't know what day it was last week. And we're gonna have, nothing was resolved yet. Another meeting, 23rd. The next meeting for the Conversation Board will be on the 23rd.
Anything else that you want to bring us up to date on that?
No.
Okay, Elaine and I were both both of us were not able to make the meeting, nor was the county attorney. I understand from the minutes, or the draft minutes at this point. Anything else?
No, that's it, I think, I believe.
All right. Elaine, do you want to give us any kind of an update on how you're doing?
Well, I'm still confined to my house. I have a doctor's appointment this afternoon and one tomorrow afternoon. And I'm hoping that they will finally release me to go back to work. We've had lots of ups and downs with this. The surgery that we thought ended up being a lot more complicated than they planned on. After 6.5 hours of surgery, we finally did get that taken care of. And hopefully I'm getting better. We've had a lot of trouble with my blood and all those kind of fun things. But you can't keep a good Irish girl down, so I'm still fighting hard. And hopefully they'll release me so I can come back to work. Right now I can't even go to the grocery store by myself. So.
Yeah, it'll not only be good to have you at work, but I'm sure on your end it'll be good to have that freedom back.
Oh, I feel like a prisoner in my own home.
Yeah.
But I really do miss everybody and all that's going on. So.
Thank you for joining us today on the phone. This is a nice pleasure for us.
And for me.
For me, for the week, had a number of meetings, mostly community meetings. I did miss, again, the compensation board meeting, so I will be anxious to find out some of the details of what was discussed there, and have a full slate for this next week. So with that, we'll go ahead and move to mail. First item is to take care of the minutes from last couple of weeks. We have June 24, July 1, and July 8, and copies were emailed out and hard copied earlier this week, the week before, and the week before that. For the June 24 minutes, we are under legal obligation to approve those at least 3 weeks after the meeting. That is today, so it is a legal deadline.
Laura, while he's doing that,
on, we will have public comment at the end of the
This is
meeting
not a
today.
public
It's a short,
comment.
it will be.
This is a legal notice
Nope.
that I want to serve.
No,
Well, I'll do
you
it
may
anyway.
not do it right now, John, sit down. No, you are out of order, sit down or I'm gonna call the sheriff.
Yeah, that seemed like everybody
Sit.
likes to do that.
Down.
That
We will
judgment
take that
there.
at public comment
is
and
on
not
Lane.
before. Thank you very much.
Okay, it's been legally served.
These, I'll go along with what Sarah, I still say there's not enough detail. So if that's, put that on the record, there's not enough detail in those. But I'll go along with what's written down
Is that a motion to approve the minutes?
for the June 24th, yeah, under that condition.
Elaine, Commissioner Salivka has moved to approve the June 24 minutes. Would you like to second that?
I'd be glad to second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the June 24, 2013 minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Make a motion with July 1st, it was the same thing that, same amendment on there that there should have been more detail.
Elaine, Commissioner Salivka has has moved to approve the July 1st minutes. Would you care to second that?
I'd be glad to second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of July 1, 2013. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Same, July 8th minutes. If approve them, put the same amendment on there if there's not enough detail.
Elaine, Commissioner Salivka has moved to approve the July 8, 2013 minutes. Will you second the motion?
Yes, I will.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of July 8, 2013. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, we have 2 more minutes. Elaine, I emailed you just a rough draft of a memo for department heads, and I just wanted both of your approval to go ahead and put those on letterhead, send it out to the department heads, and this is just general housekeeping to remind any department heads who have not turned in their budgets, they need to do so by this week.
I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I don't think we need a motion since this is just county business. We also have, and Franklin, I give you a copy of this, I'll give you this to read if you want to again. Last year on July 9th, the commission voted unanimously, thank you, to support a project with Ray Creek, and it is the acquisition of some land there. The forest ranger, Marna Daly, has asked the commission for just an updated letter. With these kinds of projects, you repeat every year and get a little bit of money, and a little bit of money the next year, and it's kind of an ongoing process. So this was already voted on a year ago, it's just an update of the exact same letter. I changed very little to it. I did email you, Elaine, so that you'd see it. And just wondering, what is your preference on signing this letter of support?
It's my understanding this is just a continuation of a previous project.
Correct.
So there's no change other than the date, basically. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Then I see no problem with it.
And this is the actual letter.
I'm the same way,
You
it's
wanna
just,
read it?
already been, take care of it, which was in, I think it's in here somewhere. That was last year anyway, I thought I saw the date there, maybe.
July 9, 2012 was the date of the previous letter.
For those in the crowd, you might tell what the letter does.
The project is with the Forest Service, and it's called the Ray Creek Acquisition. It's proposing to use the Land and Water Conservation Funds during fiscal year 2015. See, they've already raised $250,000 from Montana Fish and Wildlife Conservation Trust. And it's also supported by the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Basically, it's 984 acres of currently private lands, and they are looking to put that in local and national control due to the access for hunting, outfitters, and recreationalists and wildlife. There's a couple of support letters that came as examples for us, and then of course a copy of our letter from last year. Our letter just states Broadwater County Board of Commissioners reiterates our support for the purchase of the Ray Creek property located in the foothills of the Big Belt Mountains. We realize the public importance for public access to this area, and federal ownership would provide such access. The access is important for recreation, fisheries, and wildlife. The acquisition of this land by the Forest Service would be a great deal better than the possibility that the land could be sold and subdivided. Thank you for the opportunity to support the federal acquisition of Ray Creek property. And again, most of this is just exactly a repeat of last year's letter. So if you guys are agreeable, perhaps we could have a vote just to make sure that Ts are crossed and Is are dotted, or since it is just continuing, we could just move forward with signatures.
I don't have a problem with making a motion to, again, send the letter with support.
Okay, would that be a motion by chance, Commissioner?
Yes, it is.
All right,
Yeah, I'll go along with
is that a
that.
second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to sign a reiteration of our support of acquisition of the Ray Creek property to the Helena National Forest. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Elaine, can we stamp your signature?
Yes, please do.
All right, thank you. And we had a question from the audience. These are yours.
How much involvement does the county have as far as either through personnel or through finances? And this goes through the 15th of our 2015?
Yes, the project does. We don't have any. This is just a support letter of the Forest Service going through with this.
Oh,
Yeah.
Could you give us the location of that property? Does it,
There is a map, but I didn't print it because my computer is out of yellow ink. But it's up here at the base of the Big Belt Mountains. If you would like, I'd be happy to email you the map.
please,
Okay,
thank you.
make a note.
Commissioner, it's in 8 North 3 East, the Neal property, at the, just past Shingles.
Okay, okay.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bray.
Is it
How many
located
acres
where-
was that again?
800, 900, and 984.
Sorry.
And Elaine, I'm sorry, what was your question?
Whose property is it on?
Niels. Niels?
Oh, okay, clear up.
Yeah.
All right.
Does anybody else want the map emailed to them?
I do.
Okay.
I do have one question. So it's my understanding that property sold. Is that true?
That's my understanding as well. Does anybody else know anything?
That's
on
true.
it? That is true according to experts in the audience.
Okay.
Mr. Wright,
Fishing game.
What is the total value of they're wanting to buy this property for?
it doesn't say at this point.
Or what did it just sell for?
That I don't know. This isn't a county project, this is just a support,
Well, that means
support
we're
letter.
involved.
Yep, but I don't have those details. You could call the Forest Service and get those if you wanted to.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Okay. All right, we are at 10:20. We're 5 minutes late for our 10:15. Tim Ravendall, Concerned Citizens Coalition.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Elaine, glad to hear you getting up and moving. At this point in time, because of what happened with one of our good local citizens passing away this last week, we don't have anything to offer this week, so we'd like to possibly just put this on item for review action, rather than having anything to present today.
Okay, will do. We will move on to more mail then. All right, I will start with signature items. We have, and these have all been copied in full for you, Franklin, so that you could read them prior to the meeting today. We have claims from last week. These are the claims that we went through and approved last week.
Make a motion.
Was there an ad in the paper in the last week? Somebody that had found a fishing pole.
Motion. Pay the claims, voucher date 6/27/2013. Amount of $78,703.58.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the approved claims of 627 in the amount of $78,739.58. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
What, was it in the lake or was it on?
Can we stamp your name on this again, Elaine?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Okay, this is just left over from last week. Whenever there's a claim that your signature is on, we do not, we typically have somebody else initial it for a cross, double check, I guess. So you do need to sign that one.
This is for the use of the, at Headwaters stockyards there for the solid waste meeting we had there a couple weeks ago. Elaine,
Oh, okay.
the amount of $250.
Not a problem.
Okay, next we have a contract from our Public Health Office. This is with the Rocky Mountain Area 4 Agency on Aging, and it is a repeat grant. It's for the in-home care services to the elderly that are provided by that office.
And this is continuation, same as last year. Do we need a motion for this year then? Okay, I'll make a motion to continue this for the Rocky Mountain Area 4 Agency on Aging. I guess that's all I need to say on it. And the Broadwater Health Department, and for the provision of the in-home care service to the elderly. You hear that okay, Elaine?
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
All right, very good. It's been moved and seconded to approve a continuing grant with Rocky Mountain Area 4 Agency on Aging for in-home care services to the elderly. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Sorry.
That's all right. Okay, we have, do you have something?
You, go ahead.
All right.
Actually, I'll get this in here.
We have a letter of request from Sharon Walker concerning the Silos Recreation Area, the BOR property. There's some things that need to be addressed that are just general maintenance. In our contract, it states that anything new that's built on that property is after that point, the property of Bureau of Reclamation. But Bureau of Reclamation is responsible for repairs, so I would like to pen a letter from the commission requesting that they come in and make these general repairs as per their contract. I thought we should have general commission approval to go ahead and follow through with that.
I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Okay, again, this is business, I'll bring the letter forward next week for signatures, if that's okay with you guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Laura, this kind of continuation of that, the other minutes there, we had, we approved different ones for the different boards.
Approve different minutes for different boards?
No, what was in the previous minutes, so we approved people that applied for different boards.
Yes.
Like solid waste. Here's one from Scott Molstead for the weed board.
Okay, very good. These generally go to Debbie Kelly as HR, she's the one who manages our
Well,
boards.
apparently he stopped in there and to pick up the form, whatever, and he says that he didn't have anything. And so, he asked me, I said, well, I guess just write a letter then, so.
That's exactly the correct thing to do, so I'll just deliver this to Debbie after the meeting.
Okay, you wanna act on it then, or?
No, what we do anytime anybody wants to be on a board is we present their letter of interest to that board. The board then will bring back a recommendation to us, and then we will approve or disapprove based on the desire of that particular board. Even though it's a couple of
I
extras.
thought they had forms all set up for this stuff.
No,
They told him there wasn't any
people
they
write
quit-
letters of interest, just
they
like
quit,
Scott has done.
providing the forms.
We don't have forms. Anybody who's interested just writes a letter of interest. Some people include a resume, but there isn't a formal form. It's for anybody who's interested.
But apparently there was, I guess, and, because it was what she told him, that they don't no longer provide the forms. That's all I know.
And if you're interested in putting together a form, we can certainly
Oh,
visit
what-
that if that's the way
they
you'd
gave
like
to
to
me,
go.
I just, that was just the words he used to me, so I saw.
Okay. Anything else on that? All right, move on to general mail. Excuse me, we have one more signature item. These are more claims, and this is, let's see, I'm sorry, this is payroll.
Well, that was just the claims. We gotta have a separate, motion for this payroll.
We always do payroll separate of claims.
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we take care of this payroll. It's ending 7/8/2013 in the amount of, $140,011.97.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve payroll for pay date 7/15/2013 in the amount of $140,011.97. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, we have a letter from MDT. There you go, Mel. And this is 2013 to 2017 final statewide transportation improvement program, letting us know that it is online. Okay. We also have another letter from MDT, and last week we saw a gentleman with a COS getting easements for property, and this is certified recorded copy of the easement conveyed that was about. We had a copy of that as well.
And what property is that on?
This gentleman came to see us. He had several different easements he was acquiring to address bridges and some of the road construction that will be going on next year up Deep Creek. And this is one of those areas and it's just the documentation so we have a record. Where exactly, the name of the owners on the paperwork?
Well, call, like I say, you call them, it won't do any good. Listen here, you tell me. I'll try it. Thank you.
Geraldine
All right, see you
Delaka,
later.
and she is at, Elaine, the writing is way too small.
Okay,
I can scan it and send it to you, you won't be able to read it either.
no,
But I'd be happy to, just so you have it.
no.
Does it say what milepost here? That's that, or?
Not that I
It's somewhere's
can-
in the canyon there though, Elaine.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I'm gonna correct myself, and I apologize, I just made an assumption, I should never do that. This is not for Deep Creek, this is actually for the southern end of the county. It's across the road from Price Hills Major Subdivision.
Okay.
So, and it looks like, something with one of the roads coming onto the highway there. We'll have this on file. It's, north of Three Forks, parcel 6, if that means anything to you, Elaine.
You know, this wasn't when that fellow was here last week, this is completely different.
That's correct.
Actually, you can't tell anything under, they don't have any highlighter or anything. But they just
Okay, next,
formality.
we have just a, compliance update with FMLA. Sent you a copy of this too, if you're interested. Next, we have from DEQ, Gallatin Gateway County Water and Sewer District. And from DEQ, ConocoPhillips Company, I'll take those because we file these to keep them. ConocoPhillips Company for the Billings Refinery. All right, it looks like, as far as mail, that is it. Pretty easy stuff today. We do need to have just a couple of discussions. One is DES, our safety officer, overdue for a safety meeting. We have also the fire season we're coming into. We do have a deputy DES officer, and that's Mike Conkey. And I was wondering if you guys had any thoughts regarding DES fire moving with that.
Use him on a on-call basis, is what you're talking about.
But making sure that he is available to be on call for us. I know that he works on the DNRC fire team. He's also involved with Tri-County, which is Jefferson and Lewis and Clark County in Broadwater. So is he available to work with us should there be an emergency? I think we need to at least talk to him. Also, is he interested in coordinating a safety meeting and getting us up and going on that again?
I would suggest we write a letter to him, stating our concern, and ask if he's interested, so that he writes back and we have something in black and white.
Franklin, as you are friends, and he works in your area of the county, lives there as well, would you like to pen that letter to him?
Yeah, short and sweet if I write it.
Okay. If you do sound, hang on just a second. One thing we do as a practice is any letters we write on behalf of the commission, of course, it's sent to the rest of the commissioners for edits and approval before sending that out. So if you would email it to us, since you have email now, or bring a hard copy in and leave it in our mailboxes, we can go ahead and work on that. We should get on that pretty quickly. Also, you worked with, oh, excuse me, Tim, did you have a question on that particular issue?
Yes, real quick, isn't our sheriff part of that deputy DES coordinator position, or has been in the past? And if
She's-
so, when did that change?
She's third in line,
Oh.
and what we need to do to find out from Mike first, is he available? Does he have the time to be
Okay.
our, essentially on call to us, should there be an emergency? Second question is, if he's not, does Brenda have the time?
That's why
She's
I
got
was,
an incredibly
you.
full schedule. So I think it's just a matter of respect to
Thank you.
ask these folks if they have the
Understand,
time to
yeah.
step up.
Sheriff always does, or.
thank you.
And I think it'd be respectful to hear that from her. So if you'd like to, talk to her as well, that'd be great. And then, they could come visit us, they could write a letter, whatever works for them. Is that agreeable to you, Elaine?
That's fine by me.
Okay. Let's see, the only other thing is the, grass issue that you worked on with Mike this week, Franklin. And I understand you also, went up to look at the roof? Maybe I'm mistaken on
No, I
that.
didn't look at the roof. Oh, yeah, we got I thought we had approved it, the bid from, we got there, that roofing.
We have.
Doesn't say that, but, I did talk to them, and they're gonna start this week, but Mike was gonna give them the final word, and they'll get the rest of it. They got a $2 million insurance policy and things like that. Anyway, but we should finalize that, whatever it takes, so Mike can get a hold of them today, probably.
We have finalized it. In fact, we just took care of it in the minutes. That's one of the things that kind of
Well, that's what I
gets put
thought
on
too, but
hold
Mike
when the minutes
said he
aren't
didn't
approved.
have the, I guess we should have let him know then, everything was final.
Just by getting him the approved minutes, he'll be able to move forward with that.
Franklin, did you go up on the roof and check it out?
Oh, I was up there, a couple of months ago.
And what did you think?
Yeah, it needed to be.
The reason I asked that is I got a call from an irate citizen the other day saying when she drives by the courthouse, the roof looks fine to her, so why are we spending money to do that? And so I just let her go on, but according to Mike, there's spongy places in that roof.
That's true, and I talked to that contractor also. That's something you wouldn't see from the road action. Shingle, and I believe it's been about 30 years since they put on. What they'll do in time, those asphalt shingles, they'll just start cracking. And in other words, they're breaking down is what they're doing. So it's to that point where it's got to be redone.
Perhaps Ann could put in the minutes something about this. We had the call.
We got key. We'll try.
He was been up there along with Mike and checked it out and what the story is. So the public is aware of what we're doing and why.
Okay.
I think that would be a good way to keep them informed.
Excellent, thank you.
Did you get that?
All right, anything else on the roof, Franklin?
No other, he said he would get started this week. Oh, in there, it said on that, the sheeting had to be replaced.
Like a,
if, I think up to 3 square, that'd be included in the price. If there's anything more than that, then it'd be just on a material labor situation. But at this point, they don't think there's any more than that until they start taking it off and find out for sure, you know.
Okay, and how about the grass?
I walked around there with Mike and Plattenberg and looked at it, and I guess they're gonna go ahead and cut it down.
You had wanted the ability to give your approval on that. Do you give your approval then on that, based on your walkabout, or do you deny
Yeah,
that?
it's fine with me. I don't think it's a priority, but they seem to think it's a safety issue. So if it is, go ahead, you know. But I don't think it's a high priority deal.
Okay, now one thing about that, I don't know if you know this, Elaine, Pat Blattenberg has taken 2 vacation days and volunteered to help Mike to cut down the grass. Right now, there's about a 6-inch difference between the sidewalk and the edge of the grass. And so what Pat wants to do is just kind of cut out some of the sod and lower that so that if a walker or somebody walking doesn't step on the grass sideways, they don't fall and hurt themselves on county property.
They'll be going about 6 feet, and Plattenberg's got that little loader he has, a Kubota, that's about a 3-foot bucket on it, so whatever the bucket width is, they'll take that much out of there, and with a gradual slope back to the sidewalk.
Mike had brought this to us as a safety issue during his monthly update with us about 2 weeks ago. Franklin wanted to go out and take a look with him before granting his approval, and I'm understanding you are granting your approval for that project at this time.
Yeah, like I say, it's not a priority, but I think it'll probably depend on when these volunteers can help in Plattenberg, so however that works out, if it's sooner or later, it's up to them.
Pat would like to get started on the 22nd.
The lady that called me complaining about spending money on the roof also commented about the grass. And why were we doing that? So perhaps in the minutes, you know, you could say that Franklin checked it out and agreed that it needed to be fixed.
What day does Pat want to start?
He wants to start about the 22nd of this month. And, yes, Joan?
As you come up to the front door, if you go that way and there's cement there, there's a ridge about that, or drop about that high. Needs to be something there to show people that it's there.
Thank you very much. That reminds me, Elaine, Mike also mentioned that there's many areas of our concrete, the sidewalks, the step, places where the settling has left about a 3-inch difference
This isn't
in the
settled, this
sidewalk.
was made that way.
Right, but there are some areas that have settling, and Mike brought a whole host of those forward here about 2 weeks ago, again as safety issues. He would like to address those also in the near future, just to let you know, so that we don't have any more trip hazards. And Franklin, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I showed it on the west side over there, close to the clinic entrance, there's a section there to replace that. And back over on the other side, here would be just west on the courthouse side, there's some concrete there that's, let's see, if I remember right now, the curb is higher than the walk. And I suggested to him, he could probably just get a grinder and grind down those high spots on that curbing.
And I don't know if you heard Elaine, but Joan had mentioned some of the sidewalk issues. Joan Hill.
No, I couldn't hear it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think he's gonna work on that front step for a safety issue there. I don't know just how soon, but that's in the plan.
I just thought maybe they could paint that to make sure that people didn't fall, step, and going over there in the shade. Yeah.
anything else on the safety issues, Franklin?
I don't believe so.
Elaine, do you have any questions about any of the safety issue discussions?
No, when did you say they're gonna start the grass situation?
About the 22nd of July. And that's the only date I know as far as these projects getting started. Right. And that's all I have on my list of things we needed to cover. Franklin, have I forgotten anything, or did you want to bring anything up for the good of the order?
No, that application all I had, and I'm just now making these notes down on this letter to Mike. Availability to cover emergency, and also, if he can handle a safety inspection. or
Safety
meet-
officer
safety meeting,
duties.
yes, I think he's done that before.
I believe so.
And also, check with Brenda, her role, which, I'm positive the sheriff is, involved in that right away, anytime there's an emergency.
She's involved, that the DES coordinator does for the commission is give us the updates as something is happening. If we need to come in on an emergency basis, or he needs to work with the chair to make a decision for an emergency, that's what the DES coordinator does. They kind of are our liaison to Brenda, fire, flooding, whatever the
Right.
emergency is.
Right.
And so what we need is somebody who is available to be here and take on that liaison role. And so we need to just make sure with Mike or Brenda, whomever, that they are.
Coordinate between the two of them, they're the two that be involved.
Exactly, but we need to address them, not assume that they'll be there and be able to do that. Elaine, do you have anything that you want to add, or any questions you have for the good of the order?
I don't believe so.
All right, that means we have reached the point of public comment. Any public comment? Tim?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Gravely, Commissioner Slivka, I think we were scheduled for today on the agenda to move forward on the Second Amendment resolution process, but because you're not physically here, Commissioner Gravely, I request that we move that again forward until you can have the pleasure of being here to be part of the discussion.
Very good, thank you, Tim, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Hopefully I'll get better quicker than later.
Do you want to add that, Elaine and Tim, next week or 2 weeks? What do you guys want to do?
Let me see what the doctors say today and tomorrow, and then I can tell you.
Okay,
Madam Chair, I'm perfectly comfortable with whatever works for Elaine. The citizens are certainly recognizing the issues here, and we need to be recognizing that we need to make sure that we have time here. So let's do it right. Thank you.
all right.
You know, if you want to go ahead and tentatively schedule, because tomorrow's appointment would be too late to get it on the agenda.
Do you want me to schedule it for 2 o'clock next Monday? And just keep the communication open on whether or not,
Perhaps just in the interest of not knowing for sure what's happening, maybe go 2 weeks out.
does that work for you, do you think, Elaine? Do you want to do,
I didn't hear what you said.
Tim suggested we go 2 weeks, just to be on the safe side.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. How about 10:15 then on the 29th of July?
Good to me.
All right. Any other public comment? John?
I have an issue that, about a canceled tax payment check that has been, best of my knowledge, moved, and this is from a joint property payment of taxes on the Indian Creek properties, better known as 5070 and 4911. There's a canceled check for over $600. Payment was made payment in full from one Sean Terrell. He stopped payment on the check, and Doug forgave it. And I want this fully investigated. Mr. Slivka has a copy of it. Excuse me. And I think it should be resolved. Here, apparently, this individual took it on himself to stop payment on the check. It was about the 20th of June, and it was served on the Sheriff's Department on the 10th. I couldn't get details, neither from Doug Ellis or the bank, on just what, when, and where, but Doug did tell me he forgave it. And I don't think he can. It's up to the commissioners if there's any forgiveness. And to my opinion, if you write a check over $500 for a legal debt, which was billed to the Terrells, if it's over $500, it's a felony. So it needs to be immediately checked into. Because Doug has the impression that he has total authority to forgive and give away these taxes. Because it's not only on the property that I and my son claim we own because there's a deed. It's on other properties, and there is an issue here. She's in a mental institution in Salem, Oregon, and Oregon's after all of her known and unknown assets and properties. They've already communicated here with the county through the different agencies. So it needs to be looked at immediately. Because as it stands right now, part of what was paid here, the interest and principals now will come to me. Or if not, Oregon will come to me. And I want you to address it. And I'd like for a motion to be done to address it. Is that possible?
We'll take it under advisement, John.
Oh, gee, thanks.
We stop payment on the check. I don't know what we can do. It's really up to Doug, because it's coming for taxes, but if they write a check and stop payment, what do you do then?
Well, what we need to do is talk to Doug, but there is a process. There are statutes that
Give it to
determine
the
what.
county attorney and.
If you would like to follow up on this, Franklin, I would suggest you talk to Doug first. Find out from Doug what MCA he is following. Find out what the process is. He is the person who is the authority on taxes for the county. He would be able to explain the entire situation to you on this.
One thing I'm saying is, if they stop payment, is there anything we can do? Well, I guess.
Again, what I would say is find out the full story from Doug, as he is the clerk and recorder treasurer.
Right,
He
right.
can give you all the answers.
Oh, Laura. The sheriff says the only ones that can handle this thing to due process of the law is the commissioners. Because Doug has already passed judgment on it and this is county money that he gave away without following due process, and there's been nothing done.
Same question, John. When that person stops payment on his own check, what do you mean Doug forgive it? That's the only part I'm not
He
sure.
told me he had discussed it with Sean Terrell, and he forgave him because of the issue of Oregon's gonna take the property. That means they're gonna take mine too, or take at it. And the only thing that shows Nyla Terrell any ownership of this property is a fraudulent deed, which has already been served to you by Doug to resolve. So it's gonna get a lot more complicated by what has just occurred. And there's other people that's involved in it too. Local people. which you'll probably hear about it before the day's over. So it's a pretty outstanding thing when somebody writes a check and it stands for 20 days in the system and then gets stop payment on. There's something fishy there.
I don't see I can stop. Any more fast checks go through, how could you have stopped it if it was 20? I don't know, I guess, you know, I really
I
don't
don't
know.
either.
Because anymore, you know, electronic, they're bang, everything's done. So if
Read
we,
that document that I just served you, and you have a copy also.
do you know anything about it in that office?
Call Doug down, I'm gonna talk to you about it.
Yeah, I guess so, but I just can't imagine how come that, after to stop it after 20 days.
Why
I
don't
don't
we
think
do
it
that?
went through by then.
Oh, yes.
Why don't you bring Doug down and let him discuss it?
I think it would be a more prudent action for us to talk to Doug, get the details, and we can discuss it next week under items for discussion, action, review, and signature, rather than calling him
Well,
down.
I'm with Franklin. It looks to me if it was that far back, 3 weeks, that should have cleared the bank by now.
I think there's a bigger story here than we're getting, and that's why I think we should talk to Doug first, and then bring this forward perhaps next week so that we can illuminate everybody as to what the full story is.
I would have to agree with that.
Well, there is a little problem there. Every day it still goes on interest and principles that will fall on me. And I've already been threatened with them. So procrastination is already too much of it already.
Okay, thank you, John. More, Franklin?
Well, I don't know, I don't know, what route we gonna go then? Just talk with Doug and the county attorney?
If you want to do something different, that's
Well,
fine by me.
I don't know, that's what I'm, what do you think, Elaine? What advice would you give?
Well, it looks to me like the check should have already cleared the bank.
That's what I would think too, so I don't know, maybe we should ask for that first of all, see if the check cleared.
No, it didn't. It's been stop payment. I went to the bank. They would only confirm it happened. They wouldn't give me no detail. Doug won't give any more detail either than that, just what I put on your table there.
I think there's part of this story that we're missing somewhere along the line.
I agree with you,
We
Elaine.
need to find out.
Yep, I agree. Is there any opposition to speaking to Doug and addressing this, next week?
No, none at all.
You wanna wait till next week then? Yeah, I don't care,
If you have something
just, I
different,
mean,
that's fine.
it's brought up,
Can it be put on the agenda?
yeah, that's, no problem doing that, I guess.
Sure, do you have an issue with that, Elaine?
No, I'm fine with that.
Okay,
Okay. We can go ahead and add it to the agenda at 2 o'clock?
Next week,
Yes.
I'm fine with that.
is there anything we should try to do beforehand, or just wait till then? I guess wait till then, because I don't know
Well,
what,
my
what the situation
suggestion
is.
again is to talk to Doug. I think we need to ask the expert on taxes
Yeah,
and the treasurer who's responsible for checks.
I mean, as commissioner, should we do that ahead of time, or is that gonna be done at this meeting then, or on the agenda? I don't care, I
As
just,
commissioners, one of
it's
the
kinda
things.
confusing, you know, I don't know.
Well, and this is something you've learned over the last 6 months, 7 now, is as commissioners, we do an awful lot of homework before this Monday meeting. During the week, we do our homework so that we come to the meeting knowing what's going on, having read documents, mail, talk to experts on these issues. So, I would suggest that any commissioner, ask Doug to sit down and ask the questions with this issue. What is the full story? There's a lot bigger story than this one piece of paper tells. My homework would be this week to sit down with Doug and ask some questions and hear his answers. If you have issues as well, you can do the exact same thing, or you can wait till next week and hear what's reported at 2 o'clock.
I just thought
It's up to
if
you.
we was going to, we should get with him, he wouldn't have to explain it twice, or just wait and have it till on the agenda. I don't care, just however it works out.
There's something missing in this story somehow.
The only thing I was saying, if I go talk to Doug, he's gotta take the time to explain to me, and if you're gonna go talk to him, you know, he's gonna take the same time and tell you the same thing, so,
I got a question. The question that was first served on the commission from Doug about the deeds and titles and what have you on this two pieces of property on Indian Creek, 4611 and 5070. There is a fraudulent deed that was introduced with malice and forethought by Elaine in 1999, a double deed. This is the crux of this whole problem.
John, I'm going to interrupt you a minute. That's not quite true. I notarized it. I did not have anything to do with writing the deed. It was notarized and filed in my office.
By you.
I'm also gonna correct you, John. Doug did not serve any member of this commission. You served us.
I did not.
But Doug did not, so
Mr.
clarify.
Slifka, didn't Doug bring
Excuse
that
me.
to you and serve it on you? I didn't do it. I would have, I will, but I didn't. Isn't that correct?
Won't you give me today, you mean?
No, what Doug did some time ago, 4 weeks ago, where he served these documents all to the commission, and Laura said you would take care of it.
I get more confused now, I don't.
I
I
think,
don't remember that.
What's
yeah, I
that,
don't
Elaine?
either.
I say I don't remember that.
Well,
I
it was
think we're
done.
kinda chasing our tail on this issue. If you guys wanna continue to discuss it, we certainly can. I think we should do our homework first and revisit it next week. If you guys would like to continue discussing it, that's fine with me. What say you? Okay, hearing none, we will go ahead and address this next week. Any other public comment? Nope, all right. It is 11:01 and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for coming, everyone.
And thanks for letting me come on the phone.
Thank you very much for being here, Elaine. It has been a pleasure to
I
have
really
you,
do miss you guys.
and vice versa.
All right.
Take care of yourself.
I will. Thank you.
Bye-bye.